Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first game of the evening for the Dota Is Hard in-house group. My name is Juicy, and we are currently watching the second lobby that's going up tonight. So this is the slightly newer players who are playing for us. In this particular match, you'll see EJ and Project Swift casting the other game, which I think will be starting relatively soon. So we've got Kapowie captaining for... It's like they've got Feed the Pandas as their tag name, and Sentient Slinky captaining for the Radiant side. And if we have a look at the bands so far, pretty standard bands. Usually you'll see Magnus, Coddle, Batrider, and Nyx in the first four bands. Usually how these players run the draft. The Keeper ban, the Keeper nerf, I think, I'm not sure if that's actually come into effect yet, where they lowered his Illuminate. They increased his Illuminate mana cost. Not quite sure that was enough. I think they should have actually changed the cooldown on his Illuminate as well and possibly touched Recall. But we do see a Phantom Lancer ban coming out. That could be a respect ban for a carry on the other team. I'm not too aware on this Radiant side, who will be playing what role. Whether it'll either be Cow or Spectre, I believe, playing the carry. So that may be a respect ban for them, and we see Keeper as the final ban for the Radiant side. So, with that ban phase over, we'll see who the picks are going to be. Generally, you don't want to pick your carry very early on in the draft, because when the late game comes, you really need that hero to not be counted from earlier on in the draft. And we do see them pick Magnus, who will either be their mid solo or their offlane solo. Could also be offlane with another hero. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if it continues going on. Yes, so we've got EJ. Like I said, we do have EJ casting the other match for us this evening. So EJ's girlfriend and my girlfriend actually both playing in this game. They're both on the Radiant side. So we'll have to keep an eye and see how well they do. Liz and Cathified down there, bottom of the Radiant team. Generally both play supports. I'm just trying to think who else I've watched before. Some Tails played with us last week. I'm not sure I recognize anyone else's name other than Liz, Cathified, and Some Tails. And Some Tails played very good. Pretty sure he played the carry for our second match last week and did very well. Haven't seen White Power Ranger, Mish, Invisible, or Kapowie. I don't think. Sorry if you guys have played with us, but I don't remember your names. So just trying to think about who they're picking, who their first two picks are for the Radiant side. I'm just getting a lot of messages, so sorry if I'm a bit distracted during this cast. As you can probably see. Yeah. So I think they were having sound issues. Sound issues in the other match. Hopefully they've been resolved now. I know some Dota Is Hard players have been trying to get their mics working a little bit better.
Reserve time.
Just gives you that much more freedom to communicate during the game, and we do see the pick coming out. Finally, they're really eating to their reserve time for this. So Undying is the first pick for the Radiant side. Their reserve time is counting down. I'm sure there's a lot of furious discussion going on, and the Jakiro is the pick. So pretty good first picks. Undying, another hero that's very popular with the Dota Is Hard crew. Fantastic tri-laner. And if they do indeed send their Magnus as their solo offlane, then the Undying can do a lot of work, the Jakiro, and with, I would assume, their carry on the Radiant safe lane. So the second pick from the Dire side is the Rubik. They probably will send Magnus to the offlane now that the Rubik's been picked. Rubik generally goes solo mid, so you can get his levels up quickly. If you can max Fade Bolt and even put a few levels in Null Field and max out Telekinesis, while there are other heroes on the map that are perhaps still only level 5 or level 6, you can go around at level 9 and just do a lot of burst damage and steal the right abilities and just do a lot of great mid-game ganking as Rubik. That's really where he excels, and late game trying to steal big items, big spells from the other team, such as possibly the Jakiro Ice Path or Macropie is a great one to steal, or Tombstone. We do see the third pick for Radiant is going to be the Nature's Prophet. So I assume they'll be putting him in the jungle and putting Magnus solo in the offlane and put the Rubik mid. So I imagine the two heroes left for the Dire side would be a hard carry and a range support. I say range support because they've already got the Magnus. It's not like they're sending a Keeper to the offlane. So the third pick is going to be coming up for the Radiant team in just a moment. really haven't got much time to think about it, considering the amount of time they burn on that first pick. So they pick the Queen of Pain to go up against that Rubik in mid. And that is generally a matchup that the Queen of Pain should win. The Rubik really needs to Fade Bolt to get last hits after about level 5 or so, because the Queen of Pain can open up with a Shadow Strike, and Scream of Pain from level 3 and 4 Scream of Pain does so much damage, 225, so with Magic Resist that's what, 25% less, so it should be a little bit over 150. I mean, that's a lot, and if you've got the slow from the Shadow Strike, as well as her right click is a lot stronger than Rubik's as well, not with the Fade Bolt either. She can win that mid lane and get first blood there if Rubik doesn't leave the lane and go and gank at some point. So the first ban from the DiH side is the Faceless Void bans. They're trying to think what hero would go well. So that's a good ban, because if you think about the ultis and the spells that are coming out from the other team, it's all AoE. So Undying, Jakiro, and Queen of Pain love having clumped up fights, and Magnus is obviously going to be enjoying that because we'll be able to land some good reverse polarities. But the reason the Faceless ban is so good is that Chronosphere just works so well with the Scream of Pain ulti. Scream of Pain, it's Sonic Wave, isn't it? With the Sonic Wave ulti.
10 seconds remaining.
As well as the Jakiro Macropyre. You do thousands and thousands of damage with a Chronosphere and a Macropyre to the enemy team. So good ban. Ban on the Gyrocopter from the Radiant team. So, like I said, they're just thinking about the DiH is thinking about the Radiant's safe lane at this point. So Gyrocopter not bad, not a bad ban. Darkseid ban comes out from the other team. So the reason why I'm not so sure about the Darkseid ban, considering Garo is just banned, but that's what they choose. I mean, he's not nice to go up against. It doesn't really have any amazing synergy with the rest of DiH's team. So with the Radiant's team, I should say. So they're probably not going to end up picking it anyway. See who the last few bans are. Taking the time to think. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's perfectly fine to think about your
10
bans and picks,
remaining.
and there's probably a lot of internal discussion as well. Gotta find a way to get this not to turn up. Siblings asking me to go to the shops. Oh my goodness. During match, probably something terrible will turn up there at some point. You'll all get to see. So, the last ban from the Radiant side is the Chaos Knight. Again, that's a good ban. Chaos Knight goes well with Magnus. Empower obviously does a lot of work on a hero like Chaos Knight. He's got a passive stun, passive crit, I should say. So that's a pretty good ban. Wisp CK would have been perhaps quite a nice lane for the DiH team, because they've obviously got the Prophet Global as it is. So that would have been, that's a good ban. I like the ban on the CK. And Anti-Mage ban from the DiH team. I guess they were just scared of a double blink strat, I suppose, with the Queen of Pain. That wouldn't be bad. So I mean, Anti-Mage would have been a good pick for them. So that's a good decision to ban that out. And we've just got the final ban coming up from the Radiant side now. And I assume, I'm not sure whether they'll actually ban another carry or not. We'll see. I'd like to see a ban on a strong support that they don't want to run themselves, but are scared of, perhaps. I'm thinking along the lines of a Bane Elemental or a Shadow Demon. They do ban out the Wisp, so yeah, they were scared of that global strat. I suppose they could have picked a Lifestealer as well, actually. That was probably a great ban on that Wisp, because a Lifestealer Wisp pick from the DiH team would have been amazing. Again, obviously with the global from Nature's Prophet. You could actually take in 4 heroes. So what you do is you would tether the Wisp to the Magnus, and then have the Lifestealer infest one of those 2 heroes, and then you teleport in at the same time as the Prophet, and all of a sudden there are 4 heroes in one spot. And that's obviously global, so that's a great strat. And I've actually seen that quite a bit last week. There was a fair few Wisp picks. So I do really like that ban from the Radiant side. Very, very intelligent. Okay, that should be better now. All right, and we see the final pick coming out from the DiH side, Mirana. Yeah, geez, very gank-oriented strat that they've decided to go with here. So, I mean, Mirana, that's really thrown me off. I'm just wondering, that I suppose they haven't really got much of a carry strat. I suppose they'll have the Prophet building straight DPS. I don't see him building a Scythe. You would usually see a Prophet go Scythe early on, but they've got that reverse polarity. They've got, I mean, the Sprout's not a true disable, but it's a minor disable, and obviously Arrow and Telekinesis are fantastic disables. So, just wondering how they're going to run, if they're going to put Mirana as the first position, or if they're going to give that to the Prophet. It's an interesting pick. I don't blame Radiant for taking a while to think about this. I'm not sure who I'd pick in response to that either. They really need to make up their mind, and they go with the Sven. So, I just wonder if this Sven is going to be kited all day or not by this team, because, I mean, they've got, like I've just pointed out, those minor disables that they do have with the Sprout, as well as Telekinesis and Arrow and Reverse Polarity. So I just don't know if this Sven will be able to do terribly much.
Alchemist.
Definitely not a bad pick, and they go for an Alchemist. So wow, this is a... Rubik's going to be buying wards overtime this game. I'm just wondering how they're going to run this now. So I assume Mirana will be taking mid, and Rubik will be supporting the Alchemist at top. And the reason I say that is that although Rubik, I suppose, is technically a better mid, you really want to give Mirana some farm. You need to get some items up on her. People build all kinds of things on Mirana, so we'll have to see how that Mirana ends up getting played. But I think what they'll be running the Rubik top as 5th position support with the Alchemist. And they go with the Windrunner for the final pick. So it looks like they will be running a tri-lane on bottom with the Jakiro, Undying, and Sven, I would imagine. With Windrunner running at the off-lane on the bottom lane against the Alchemist and Rubik lane, I assume. So we'll have to see how this goes. The DiH team does have a jungle hero, so they technically should be getting more XP, which is great for their team because, I mean, they haven't got a true... well, they've got the Alchemist now. I was saying they haven't got a true carry, but of course they've picked the Alchemist. So the fact that they've got... The fact that they'll get more XP is really going to help them in the mid to late game. And hopefully they can turn that more XP into more farm. So that's what they need to do, and all I can see... I'm not quite sure what the Radiant strat is going to be here. I suppose they'll just have to try to push in the early to mid game. With the Undying Tombstone as well as the Sven ulti, which can really take down towers very quickly. And that Sven ulti really is quite a terrifying force earlier in the game. So inside the game now, we'll see who's playing who. So we've got Kapowie captaining for the Dire side, playing the Alchemist. We've got Invisible playing the Magnetor. Looks like he'll be running solo offlane. We've got Mish playing the Mirana. Fix my cursor here. We've got the Prophet playing, being played by Sumtails, and the White Power Ranger playing the Rubik. We look across at the Radiant side. We've got the Captain Sentient Slinky playing the Queen of Pain. Looks like Pector. I'm going to say this is Pector. Playing the Windrunner. Looks like he'll be soloing the offlane. And Sven being played by Cow. Liz Bean playing the Undying, and Cathified on the Jakiro. So we'll be having a tri-lane at bot. So looks like they're actually setting the Magnus mid and the Mirana bottom. That's not bad at all. Mirana can offlane perfectly fine. I suppose they want to give Magnus more... They'd want to give him more farm. I suppose he can do more with farm earlier in the game. Have to see how that plays out for him. I mean, he'll be mid against the Queen of Pain, so he'll really be having to get last hits using his skewer. So if you come in too close, you're going to get Shadow Striked and then right-click down.
The battle begins.
So lovely GLHFs from everyone. Everyone very mana. It's like the haste runes at top. Going to get a free hit on the Queen of Pain.
Haste.
So try to see. There aren't any wards down for the Dire side yet. We'll see if that changes. Blocking both these camps. I like that. That's good. Hopefully we'll see the Rubik go for a D ward, but it won't be anytime soon because he did spend all his gold. It's not really a big deal because if there's only 2 of them. When you're running a tri-lane though, you really need to avoid this getting warded. It doesn't look like the Mirana has 40 wards. Jakiro does land an Ice Path early on the Mirana. Mirana should run because Jakiro does have a lot of base, has a lot of base strength, 24, so he's got 660 health as opposed to the 17, but has got a gauntlet branches. So even with all those health items, he still has 100 HP less than Jakiro. So it looks like Jakiro will be stacking this 53. That's exactly what she should be doing. Fantastic. And Sven just down here getting some last hits. So if we go back to the mid lane, see how this is going for the Magnus. I think this is where we're going to have to watch for action. Windrunner is going to be pretty safe at top. Things happening with Mirana. She did skill leap, so I assume we'll see. I don't know if they'll continue this chase. She's going to probably try to leap over these trees if she uses control. But that just uses a tango and the ice path doesn't land, so she'll be getting out of there just fine. Just don't want to take too much damage from these creeps, so they should just try to be a little bit careful here. Yeah. To take a bit of damage from that creep, and looks like they're going to pull it, only grab the range creep, so this will be XP that Mirana's missing out on. I shouldn't say XP. She probably won't get those last hits. It is a lot harder to last hit under tower. Hasn't got one yet, so that's good for the Radiant side. Does get her first last hit. We have a look up the top. Prophet's happily jungling away. It's level 2. See if he skills Sprout or Teleport. I like skilling Sprout just because, I mean, you've bought the Clarities. You can stay out here. There's no reason to go home. Or I suppose if you're going to look to gank, that's one reason to get his Teleport. So he does get the Teleport. I just like being a little bit safer with Sprout. But I mean, if you are looking to try to pick up kills early on, or if you're looking for a chance to come in, no problem getting that Teleport at level 2. Really doesn't change your jungle at all. So Sven and Alchemist both sitting at 10 last hits. Exactly what you'd expect. Sven took a bit of chip damage. I think it may have been a little of that was from when the creeps got a bit muddled up there in the side shot. Does leap away from an ice path. Undying does come in from behind, do a bit more damage. Got reason. Oh wow, just does dodge that arrow. That may have been a bit bad for Liz. She wasn't full HP. However, she would have been stunned within tower range, so that may have gone poorly, but she just dodged at the right moment, so that's great for them. Mirana having to use a lot of regens down this lane with only the one last hit, so that's the off lane for you. It happens like that a lot. Queen of Pain taking a bit of harass as well, but she's got her bottle up now. So does the Magnus. Both just got their bottle up in the last minute, I believe, so we'll see. I imagine they'll both be running for that 4-minute rune, as they both do need to use some bottle charges to stay up now. So, just wondering what Alchemist will be building first. He may go for Midas. A lot of people love building Midas. Fast Midas on the Alchemist. Just to give you that much more gold income. And he plays a lot like Prophet in that regard. And they really have got a money-hungry lineup, the DiH team. And if they can survive without losing too many towers into the mid to late game, then I don't see how a Sven can carry hard enough, because he's really the only right click they're going to have when the other team gets BKBs up. And they will be getting BKBs up against heroes like Queen of Pain, Shackle, and Windrunner, and Jakiro. They just do so much damage without the BKBs. So Dual Breath comes out. They're trying to find the rune. Pings go top, pings go bottom. Is the invis at top. And they'll be running for that, and Queen of Pain will get it. Well, we'll just have to see. We may see the first kill come out as perhaps a Prophet gank. Looks like Prophet's going for Midas. And has this Alchemist decided what to buy yet? He may be rushing Radiance. I assume if he was going Midas, he would have already bought the Gloves of Haste from the side shop. So he may just be going for a straight Radiance, which is perfectly acceptable. If you can get it fast enough, it's a fantastic item to have at 15, 20, 25 minutes in the game. Just lets you farm that much faster, especially when you've got Acid Spray. And oh my gosh, how have I not mentioned this yet? So the Tombstone, the Alchemist can farm the crap out of Tombstone. Tombstone goes up and starts spawning zombies. He can just drop down Acid Spray right on top of the Tombstone, and the moment that those zombies spawn, they'll die. And if you don't kill the Tombstone until just before it ends, you actually can get so much gold. Not hundreds and hundreds of gold, but much more gold than you should have. And that's what this is. That's what this game is all about. Just getting away with slightly more than you're supposed to, or than the opponent would expect of you. So everyone's still looking pretty healthy. The Queen of Pain probably feeling a little bit worried about the reverse polarity. I suppose she knows she can click on him and see that he doesn't have mana. She's really thinking about going here. I think she wants her level 6. She wants her Sonic Wave, and then she may jump. He doesn't have any mana for anything. So, see how this goes. Looks like she may do it. Just goes for a quick bit of harass. So, nothing wrong with that. No reason to overcommit. I don't think she would have killed him anyway.
Radiant's top tower
Another reward from the Rubik. I like this ward spot. It gives you more vision up the river than a typical ward would. Sometimes people will come down and hang around here because they don't want to be spotted by the ward that they assume is here. So that's good. That's just a little bit safer for the top lane. Unfortunately, this one does mean that it's out of rune vision. So
missing top.
I think if you place it up here, you can see the rune. Over here, you can see the rune, and obviously up here is quite a popular spot as well for that rune. So just illusions being popped into the enemy jungle by the Magnus, and Akira trying to get some last hits up. Sven, yep, using his salve. He's missing a couple of last hits because he had to back off to use that, but it's no problem. He's still in the lead, sitting at 30 with 13 denies, so playing exactly the way he should be. Sitting here, using his A button, using his right click, and not missing what he should be. This priestess could utterly die here if she gets caught out. She's only got one leaf, doesn't have her ulti yet. Unfortunately, the ice path does miss. They're probably going to chase this down. The Sven wants him. Oh, the Sven, bit of a poor decision. Oh, well, not poor decision making, but change of mind. Looks like the Mirana will get away, I imagine. They haven't got slow, unless the Ice Path lands, which it does. The Ice Path lands. We'll see if the Sven can get in range for a stun, but he's just so much slower. The Mirana has, well, not that much slower, but the Mirana only has 5 movement speed more, but she's got leap as well, and looks like she will be getting away from this. So this is when the Radiant needs to back, needs to realize it's not going to happen, and just get out of there. Yeah, she's a bit lucky. Oh, the Sonic Wave does come out and pick up the Mirana. What a turnaround from the Radiant side. Looks like this Magnus man up going down as well. If he hangs around for too long, does get stunned by the Sven, and they turn this into a double kill. So wow, that was some epic baiting there from the Jakiro. Queen of Pain throws her Sonic Wave from the high ground. They obviously, walking up this high ground, don't have any wards here, no dire wards, and do pick up the Mirana, shortly followed by the Magnus. So that's fantastic for the Radiant side. Was looking a little dicey there when the Mirana turned around and the Magnus came down, but just the right amount of bait. And like I said, that Jakiro has a lot of base strength. 30 base strength, that's such a lot for a support. I mean, if we compare them to other heroes in the map, I mean, this Jakiro is level 4 and she has 30 base compared to this Queen of Pain that has 26 base at level 7. So I mean, if this was any other support like a Shadow Demon or a Shadow Shaman or a Keeper of the Light, there's no way that they would have survived that much beating all the way back up this little ramp. But they do manage to get the double kill. So good for them. The Sven will be happy with that. He wasn't around for one, but was around for the other. Got the assist on the second one as well as the XP. Hopefully we'll have this Windrunner come back in just a moment. Hopefully not having lag issues or anything like that. See if they're online. Not that there's anything I can do about it if they're not. That is in Dota 2, so I imagine he'll be hopping back in the game in just a moment. And with that, I mean, Mirana didn't do anything terribly wrong down here. There was the moment when Undying and Jakiro and Sven were all about here, and she was here. And she may have considered purchasing a TP from the side shop, run down here to this little spot here, face down here, and then as soon as you reach the edge, leap. And you'll leap to about here, and then TP. And just hope that the Jakiro doesn't run down and Ice Path there. Because when you've got 3 heroes who are here, and they're already between you and your tower, and you're down here, she leaps over here, and I mean, that wasn't too bad. That was a good choice, because she did manage to almost get away. But probably could have avoided a lot of headache there by just running out. You don't even have to TP home, just TP back to this tower right here. And, you know, perfectly fine. Just go back to getting XP in the lane. Windrunner does pop back in the game, so we'll be resuming in just a moment. Okay, so back underway, and the Alchemist did go for phase boots first. So, interesting that he was holding onto so much gold for so long and then built the phase boots, but nothing wrong with that, that's fine. It's not like he died or anything in the meantime, so not that big of an issue. Looks like the Prophet has rotated bottom to give this Mirana a bit of help. That's a good choice, just gives the Mirana a bit more lane presence and lets her get some last hits up. And she really does want to get her ulti up as well. I mean, that's why you send a hero like Priestess of the Moon, Mirana I should say, to the offlane solo, because you want her to get levels up. Her Sacred Arrow just does so much. She's actually favoring Starstorm, which is nothing wrong with that at all. Also does a lot of damage, 300 damage. It actually does more than that to one target, as you can see there. So if it's just you against one other hero, Does up to 400 damage. Looks like this Queen of Pain will be going down to a really well-placed skewer followed by a shockwave. So I imagine what happened there was she had the double damage popped and was just getting a little bit bold. And just thinking she could do a little bit more than she was able to get away with. And the Magnus does manage to come back a little bit from that from what happened in mid there. So what happened to this bottom rune, I should say. So the Magnus gets the solo kill. He's got his arcanes up now and he's level 8, so he may look to be trying to use this reverse polarity around the map at some point soon. Haven't seen that used yet, so generally when you have got a big ulti that has a long cooldown like the reverse polarity, like the black hole, I'm trying to think of others now. Oh, I mean, black hole is that big one, you know, when enemy hits level 6, go and use it. And I feel the same about Magnus. It's a 4-second stun, I believe that's on level 1 as well. No, it's 3.75 at level 3, so it's 2.25. That's still reasonable. As well as the fact that it pulls the hero towards you. So if you've got Empower, it can do that much more as well. Against all the heroes that are pulled towards you, if there's more than one.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
So just some passive, just good passive
Middle
play
is missing.
coming out at this moment. Mirana looks like she'll be trying to perhaps snip that rune. She has got her ulti up now, which I imagine is why she left the lane. So, I mean, if she has the same issue that she has last time, she'll just be able to pop her ulti. And we do see the Undying pinging out of Mirana there, saying, you know, if she hangs around, let's jump on her. But don't forget, she has got that ulti, which has a 2.5 second fade delay. So it looks like they're looking to finish off this Queen of Pain that's very boldly hanging around in mid. Queen of Pain is going to not see him yet. He won't now. Yeah, he did see him there. So here comes the blind arrow. It does land. It looks like he'll leap forward and use his Starstorm. Oh, it doesn't have enough mana for the Starstorm, but the Shockwave does come out from the Magnus at long wave and does, at long range, does manage to pick it up. Uses the reverse polarity, catches both the Undying and the Jakiro, but there's just no follow-up. Looks like the Undying will come back in, try to do a bit more damage, but does end up getting picked off. A bit unfortunate there. The Ice Path just didn't land before the Magnus skewered forward. So they do manage to turn that into a double kill on the supports. And looks like the Sven TP'd in as well, which is a little unfortunate because he'll have a bit of a harder time last hitting here than at bot. But bot has been pushed out and they're being pushed. It's being pushed out further by a siege creep. So not that bad. He can sit there and try to get some more last hits. But he does decide to go back to the bottom lane, and we'll be using this Midas along the way, which I haven't even mentioned. He did buy a Midas, so that's good. I have no problem with that. They have a Midas of their own on the Nature's Prophet, so having a Midas in your hard carry, that's a good choice. I fully support the decision to buy a hand of Midas on this Sven, because this Dire team is going to go late. They want to fight later in the game. They've got the Alchemist, they've got the Nature's Prophet. They can do so much more a bit later on. Looks like the Magnus is pinging top lane, does want to try to finish off this Windrunner. Jakiro as well, standing slightly dangerously there. They should try to get back towards the tower a bit here. I don't think they really realize that there are 4 heroes up here. And looks like this wall would have not seen that Magnus just there, so hope they realize that there are a number of heroes missing off the map. Jakiro's a bit far forward here. The Magnus runs in, just cancel the shockwave, ends up skewering into the tower. Looks like the Jakiro will end up going down. Jackal latches on the Magnus, but won't be able to make much off it. Just does win run out of there. And I missed something at bottom there. Just dodged an arrow. Probably that Sven was going to go down, and I just missed another kill on the Windrunner. So the Windrunner did win run, but I suppose didn't end up going back to base. And I'm not actually sure how they caught up. Probably a telekinesis or some other disable from the Dire side. But ends up going 6-2 now for the Dire side, as well as one tower. And whether they're going to continue for this or not, I don't know. Looks like the Undying with a haste is going to come up, hopefully catch this Rubik. This Rubik may be in a bit of trouble. Yep, the Queen of Pain blinks up. They do want to see if they can get a hold of him. The Rubik can't telekinesis up here anymore, which I would have done that in the old patch, but that has been patched out now. You can't do it anymore. Keep chasing down. The Queen of Pain really does want to use her Sonic Wave here. Big reverse polarity comes out from the Magnus and does kill with an arrow on one hero and a shockwave on the other. Great coordination there from the Dire side. And they just really wanted to get that kill on the Rubik. Couldn't quite get it. Kiro lands the Ice Path on the Nature's Prophet and stops other heroes from coming up there. So we've had 2 big polarities now from the Magnus. And he's got level 2 of that now, as well as the Blink. He only just got that Blink, I think. Pretty sure. Mirana is going to buy her Arcanes. Got a few arcanes up now. Wonder if we'll see the Rubik getting arcanes as well. Generally, you do get arcanes from Rubik. And they have got a reasonably mana-hungry team. Alright, so Alchemist taking the lead with the last hit, 74. Looking quite happy there, sitting on his Maelstrom. He wants to keep pushing mid, wants to get this tower, maybe even wants to take a team fight. In the meantime, Sven's farming on the bottom lane, but he will come in. Bit short on mana though, and a little bit low on health. So it looks like they're going to drop the Ice Path on this Alchemist. He does drop out the Acid Spray. Ice Path return from Rubik, does manage to hit. You see where they're going. The Magnus ends up killing the Undying. The Sonic Wave comes out, hits the Magnus, and another Ice Path does land. The Sven manages to get the last hit with his ulti popped up. So that Mirana ulti showcasing its strength there. No one from the Radiant team died. No, Undying died and respawned. And they managed to pick off the Mirana again with another stun coming out from the Sven. So lost a bit of track of where everything was going on in that fight there. But it does end up being a great fight for the Radiant side. The Queen of Pain does go down. Totally missed this. Ran all the way up to the Alchemist. Sorry about that, guys. I really need to watch this mini-map. They're coming back in with an Invis rune on the Nature's Prophet, but good pulling back there from the Radiant side. Prophet may look to see if anyone on low health hangs around. Probably was hoping this Windrunner would run off by herself, but these heroes really should be going back and healing. There's no reason for Catapult to be staying out here. Gonna land an Ice Path, does miss, and the Magnus blinks forward, uses the Shockwave and just does not manage to kill her, and the buff from the Windrun was still active when that projectile shot out from the Prophet, so she does live on about 15 HP. Quite fortunate. This Jakiro really needs to be getting back. Can't hang around this low HP. I mean, when you've got a Shockwave, blink, as well as the RP up for the other team, you really can't hang around on this health. We'll see how it ends up playing out. They're really defending that mid tower. In the meantime, though, the Alchemist is continuing to farm, pushing out the bottom lane. Sven's farm is okay. I mean, having the Dire site at all ahead is going to be bad for Radiant at this point. They really need to just throw this Sven at creeps just constantly. Just be protecting him and throwing him creeps, throwing him neutrals, stacking for him, stacking the Ancient so he can pop his ulti with his cleave and go and clean those up. I mean, they need to be finding openings for the Roshan as well. They really need to do everything that they can to give this Sven as much space as he can possibly find. If they want to try to continue and play this in the endgame. Sacred Arrow does play out from Mirana, just fishing there for a bit. Shockwave lands on the... looks like they'll be dying again with the... gets 3 heroes with that reverse polarity, so fantastic play there from the Invisible. From Invisible, manages to get his Beyond Godlike with a triple kill. And that's what I mean, the Jakiro hanging around at low health there just was no good. Wasn't able to get off the ulti or get off the Ice Path. Even though the Sacred Arrow didn't latch. So, wow, pretty much a 1v4 there from the Magnus. Looks like this Queen of Pain will be going down as well. Does try to blink away, but the Alchemist manages to get the stun off just before she does. And even if she had, this Magnus was predicting and blinking up here, so good play from them. And at this point, I mean, the Radiant are going against a team that they needed to do well against in the early game. And it just hasn't worked out very well for them. They managed to get that double First Blood on Mirana and the Magnus in mid, but didn't end up paying off for them. Looks like this Jakiro will be going down again to a chain stun. The Windrunner does get a shackle off on this Alchemist, but the Mirana ulti is going to help him get out of there. Not until they get out of range of this tower though, so they'll need to continue getting off. Bit of a shame that the Radiant team couldn't capitalize the number of low health heroes on the other side. Especially this Alchemist, obviously, he's the one you do want to kill. Not much else they can do there. This Magnus has a regen rune, does blink out for safety. And they'll just go back to farming the map. This Alchemist is just going to clear out this bottom jungle, eventually come to the wave. This Siege Creep, in the meantime, is going to push it out, so he's got even more farm when he finally does get down here. And we'll finish off this tower that's below half health. In the meantime, we'll have Mirana and Magnus pressuring the top wave, which is what you need to be doing. Have your carry on the further away tower, pushing it down. He'll eventually join into this lane, I imagine, and start farming. In the meantime, have 2 or more heroes pushing another lane. Pushing a lane that's more difficult to push and is more valuable for Radiant to save. So, in a way, you almost guarantee this bottom tower if the Alchemist goes now. That was a great dodge of the Ice Path there from Magnus by blinking out, but does skewer back into a stun from the Sven, and it will end up going down with the Radiant team all on very low health. And the Ice Path does unfortunately miss on that Queen of Pain, and on the Mirana, and Queen of Pain does end up dying there. Still a good trade, because the Magnus is 5 levels ahead, so that was a fantastic kill. Pretty sure he's the highest level in their team by a long shot. that Magnus. So that's fantastic for him. It does lose that Beyond Godlike streak to the Jakiro. The Jakiro will have money coming out the wazoo. Maybe want to be looking to pick up the Arcanes next for Jakiro. But even with that Magnus going down, this is really the guy that you need to be killing. And you need to be killing him more than once, more than twice. You need to be killing him a bunch of times. Otherwise, you just won't catch up. He's already, I mean, he's only very slightly ahead. But don't forget, look, he's only 8 last hits ahead. But this Greevil's Greed, or otherwise known as Goblin's Greed, will be doing so much for his GPM. If we have a look, look at the GPM. There we go, 467 on the Alchemist, so 110 GPM higher than the Sven. And about 80% or more of that would be because of this Greevil's Greed. Just such an amazing farming spell. Looks like they ended up going on this Rubik. May have tried to drop them on drop the Queen of Pain on the high ground there, but obviously, as I said, that no longer works. Does return with the dual fire, but the Queen of Pain does end up picking the Rubik off. So that's another great pickup. They all managed to get a bit of XP out of that. Undying living here on 160 HP. If that Magnus had aimed that slightly to the left, to the right, to his left, would have killed that Undying, but they do manage to get out after picking up that Rubik. So good for them. Even with this ward here, the Radiant team was able to do that without paying the price. So good for them. That's what you need to be doing, just finding pickoffs occasionally. So we had this one kill on the Magnus at top. We did have Queen of Pain die there as well, but then we had that kill on the Rubik down here. And it looks like this Queen of Pain will be picking up an Invis rune, which was fully visible to the dire side. Don't think they've got any detection though, I wouldn't expect, so no, they absolutely don't. So see if that Queen of Pain's able to make something happen. She's popped the Invis rune already about down to about 2/3. Oh, with the Nature's Prophet, if he was paying attention, he'd realize the Queen of Pain was here, but he wasn't paying attention. So we'll see if this Prophet does end up paying the price. Here comes the ulti. Yep, does manage to hit him. Looks like the Prophet's just going to get out. Very unfortunate. And the arrow does land on the Queen of Pain, so she'll end up going down to the Magnus, who I think he was toying with his reverse polarity there. Doesn't use it, so that's fantastic for them. They get another kill on the Queen of Pain. Bit unfortunate the Prophet managed to survive there. That's what Strength Treads do. He had Strength Treads on when that started. Don't know if he even would have died without them, but it would have been very close. Unfortunately, the Queen of Pain does get picked off there. So it looks like they'll end up pushing this. They'll end up being able to take this tier 2 tower. Defensive Macropire comes out from the Jakiro. Blinks in, skewers the side, doesn't catch anyone. Another shockwave comes up and an arrow misses. And the stun will land on Jakiro. Needs to get out of there and go back to heal. The Undying drops down the Tombstone. And the Alchemist does exactly what I mentioned earlier. Drops the Acid Spray right on top of it. Big Shackle comes out and does land on the Mirana, and the Alchemist disables them for a moment. Big reverse polarity response though, catches 3 heroes. Magnus does end up going down, but it looks like the Queen of Pain will be going down again, but not before picking off the Magnus and the Rubik. And to swallow my words, the Queen of Pain doesn't die. Mirana's the only one left. She will end up going down, probably to that Liquid Fire. Doesn't fade enough. This Queen of Pain wants the Courier, probably won't get it. He only has level 2 Blink. But wow, what a great fight for the Radiant side. That was all. I'm pretty sure that was because of that big shackle there. That was quite a long engage. But that shackle was great. Caught the Alchemist, caught the Mirana. So Mirana couldn't pop her ulti to try to get everyone out. The Magnus does end up using his reverse polarity, which was the only reason that Windrunner died, is because the reverse polarity did come out just before the Magnus died. Pretty sure he died while they were all still stunned from the RP, actually, to some other hero, possibly Tombstone. But fantastic fight for the Radiant side. They've got to be very happy about that. Sven only got one of the kills, I believe. But if you look, there's a big increase in XP and a nice little jump in gold for the Dire side. And the stun will hit on the Sven, so Sven's going to have to run. Shadow Strike will come out from the Queen of Pain, but this Sven does end up dying because that was a very long duration stun there from the Alchemist. Defensive Macropire comes out as well, and the Rubik manages to take Scream of Pain. Arrow hits on the creep. Kira is probably a bit happy about that. Undying needs to keep running, or Undying is going to go down to another stun from the Alchemist. Ice Path does catch the Mirana, but not before the Undying already dies. They're going to keep going. The Radiant really just needs to get out of here. Pretty sure that was a bash from the Alchemist managing to kill that Queen of Pain before she could blink, and this hero will be going down as well. And although that fight before was just so amazing for the Radiant side, I just don't know if they're going to be able to do it again. I mean, hopefully they can, but we'll have to see.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Very rich now, the Dire side. Obviously, they've got the Alchemist with the Greevil's Greed. They've had a Midas up for a while. This Prophet needs to use that Midas. But I mean, that gold graph, I mean, they're still over 10,000 ahead. It's so much at 23 minutes in. It's, you know, just way too much, especially when you're against 2 carries like that. Blink forward from the Magnus. Does try to use his ulti. I don't think he managed to find enough heroes to use it though. The Sven runs forward, pops his ulti, pops the BKB. BKB just stopped that from doing a lot of damage to the Magnus. They want to keep chasing this, but I don't think they have any detection. They do have a sentry ward on the Undying, but for a team that's this quick with heroes that have Skewer and Blink and Leap, you really need Dust to try to catch them. They can't keep going on this. Looks like they do turn around on the Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain wants action. Does get another clutch bash from the Skull Basher. Another Macro Pyre comes out. Skewer down from the Undying to the low ground, saving himself as well as killing a hero there from the Magnus. Alchemist does end up going down, but not before cleaning up. I'm sure he actually ended up killing, but the Sven ends up going down to the Rubik at the end there. The Secure will end up dying as well, so very messy fight. The Radiant almost did very well in that fight, but I think the Sven may have died a little bit. The Sven wasn't able to do much there. He didn't have his ulti or his BKB up, and yeah, just a lot of great individual play coming out from the Dire side as well. This Rubik is just doing everything in his power to stay back and stay out of harm's way. So that's fantastic. You know, that's what Rubik needs to be doing, just staying at the back, using spells, using your Fate Bolt, using whatever spell you stole, running back a bit, letting the cooldowns run off, using your mana boots, and throwing out more Fate Bolts, because those Fate Bolts do so much in the fights. Big Sonic Wave comes out from the Queen of Pain. That does damage to at least 4 heroes, but doesn't manage to pick anyone off. They're all low though. Another arrow comes in. This poor Queen of Pain not having a great game as far as the stuns on her go. But they do manage to hold the racks for now. The Sven absolutely needs to get back to farming. They need to find space for the Sven to farm. This is when the Radiant needs to be moving out in the map, putting some wards down, putting wards down here, so they can see what's going on with this Ancient stack and try to get the stack going themselves. They need to start warding up around this part of the map so it's safe for the Sven to farm down to the bottom half of the jungle, as well as farm this bottom lane, which is where he's going, so that's fantastic. He'll be able to get a lot of last hits down here reasonably safely. Mirana TPing out, won't be interrupted by anyone. Nothing that either of these 2 heroes can do about that anyway. And they will be going in for the Roshan attempts. So I imagine this will be going to the Alchemist. Come back to the last hits. The Sven has actually overtaken the Alchemist on last hits, but even with this Midas, the GPM is higher on the Alchemist by a substantial amount. I mean, the Alchemist has been involved in more kills as well. He's 5-2-11 compared to the 2-2-5 of Sven. Not that many more, but when you think that this Sven paid 1900 gold for Hand of Midas, and he has less gold still than the other team's carry. I mean, that's Alchemist for you, isn't it? That Greevil's Greed just does so much. Especially if you're given a lot of space in the first 10 to 15 minutes, which this Alchemist was, it just gives you that much more oomph to get solidly into the mid game and continue that farm. He's got the Mjolnir, so he can keep that farm going quickly, and his attack speed's already getting quite decent, and we're not even half an hour into the game. I assume we'll see him building an Abyssal, then possibly a Assault Cuirass after that. Oh look, they added a cute little animation to the Mjolnir. Isn't that nice? Good old Valve. Best PC developers out there. Magnus scouting out with an Invisor and can see the Sven. This is who they want to kill. They kill the Sven. There's just nothing that the Radiant can do. They can't take a fight. Decide not to go for it. He does decide to come back down and wait for this to spawn. Or comes back down here. Right, to any extent. Rather than going up into the jungle, which was a good choice. He would have definitely died if he'd gone up there. The entire team would have come up. Rubik and Mirana, that's all you need along with the Magnus to pick off that Sven. A good choice, coming back into the lane, just trying to farm safely. I mean, the thing about a Sven is, there's always the chance that you'll have a team fight where you've got your level 3 ulti, which he does. He's got his BKB, which he's only used once. He's still got 9 seconds left on that duration. Where you get an Ice Path, or you get 2 or 3 heroes clumped up, and you get 3 big swings. 3 big swings with a BKB up, with the enemy sitting there taking it. That's kind of all you need as Sven. Really, this is more of a... You really want Daedalus to be able to do that really well. Which I suppose he will be building towards at some point. But still, I mean, even without the Daedalus, even without any hard DPS items, I mean, BKB is decent damage as well for Sven, because his ulti is obviously based off his strength, and this does give you 10 strength and 24 damage from the Mithril Hammer. So it does have DPS within itself to synergize with that God strength. Random arrow comes out, does hit the Windrunner. Wow, she's been landing a lot of arrows this game. But yeah, like I was saying, that's all the Sven really needs. Just a few good hits and a good fight to get them low. I mean, Mirana's reasonably squishy. She's only got 1,200. The Prophet's only got 1,000. The Rubik's only got 800. They really don't have that much. The Tombstone does go down. The Undying immediately picked off. Scream of Pain comes out from the Rubik. Does get a big RP, manages to catch out too. The Sven coming in with BKB and he hasn't popped his ulti quite yet. Really needs to do that. Probably would have killed that Mirana otherwise. Hero solo. The Magnus does end up skewering away and picking up the Queen of Pain on the way. Queen of Pain goes down there. Hopefully this Alchemist will die. The Aegis does get popped. Rubik in invis here, but they just don't know where they are. Very unlucky they didn't pick off that Magnus there at the end. And this just shows how great that Mirana ulti really is. This is going to pop off in just a moment, so we'll have to see if these heroes decide to hang around. Arrow comes out, lands on the Jakiro, great predictive arrow there, and the Magnus blinks forward, does get another kill as well with this telekinesis, but the Magnus does end up going down at the last moment to a tower. So that was very unfortunate that the Radiant didn't manage to do more there. The Sven didn't end up popping the ulti there, so a little bit of a misstep. Definitely would have killed that Mirana, I want to say, and maybe would have even finished off the Magnus and a few others. Before, obviously, the Magnus killed everyone else. Undying is going to come in after respawning and unfortunately die again. There's just too much disable on the other team. Shaka won't latch. And this Windrunner really needs to be careful. She will actually end up going down here, I think. There's not much she can do to get away. These creeps are doing a lot of damage, and that stun lasts for so long. Looks like the Queen of Pain is going to end up going down as well. Just getting so many bashes. He actually used the Abyssal Blade there on the Queen of Pain so she couldn't blink away. So that was, yeah, just very unfortunate the way that ended up working out for the way that ended up working out for the Dire side. They got a little bit lucky there, I want to say. They do clean up the racks.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
So that's a 30-minute racks from the Dire side, sitting at 35-12, very comfortably ahead. Over 20,000 gold, over 20,000 XP. I got to say, it's remarkable that the Radiant did as well as they did in that fight, considering how far behind they really are. Sven BKB was doing a lot of work there, but just unfortunately the ulti didn't get popped. So Tombstone goes down. I think that way I mean Tombstone. No, it was stolen from the Jakiro, so the Rubik does end up getting Jewel Breath. Looks like this Undying will be going down again, unfortunately. And the Sven pops his ulti this time, does pop the BKB, managing to pick up this Alchemist. Fantastic, gets cleave on the Mirana. The Mirana does go down as well as the Prophet, as well as the Alchemist, I should say. Rubik goes forward, but Rubik will be going down here as well. He's completely out of mana, so fantastic from the Radiant side. They managed to hold on to the top racks. They're going to end up getting 4 kills out of it, all of which went to the Sven. I totally lied. Only 2 of those went to the Sven, 2 went to the Jakiro. So that's great. That's fantastic. Keep doing it, guys. If you can keep defending, one lane of racks is nothing. You guys can defend a lane of racks. And hey, it's your mid lane. I mean, that's the easiest lane to defend. If they're only going to take 1 lane of racks, I personally at least prefer if the enemy takes my mid lane. Because it just means that if you need to defend it again, because this is obviously where they're going to need to be doing a lot of their defense from now, because the creeps are going to be pushing down into the Radiant base. If you need to defend creeps here, it's just that much easier and safer to be in the middle of your base rather than on the edges. It's just it's a lot closer to areas where they can assault you from. And obviously these 2 tier 4 towers do a lot of damage, and you can just retreat them a lot more easily if you're defending the mid lane. That's just me. Maybe other people will prefer if their side lane gets pushed, but I suppose it also depends which heroes you have. They're going to turn that wonderful team fight into a kill on the mid lane tower, so they get their 2nd tower of the game. You're going to have to really try to push for more towers, but I mean, that's just the thing. The Dire has so many towers up, and this Prophet can defend all day long with Nature's Call and teleportation.
Tower is under attack.
You can't really split push a Prophet very easily. I mean, they've got the Sven. The Sven can push megas quickly. That's another great thing that the Radiant has going for them as far as the end game goes.
Bottom tower has been denied.
But if we take a look just for a moment before the next fight happens at the items, so really not much else out from this Queen of Pain. She's just picked up the double null to try to give her a little bit more survivability, but over the next 5 to 10 minutes, these nulls are just going to become less and less valuable. In about 15 to 20 minutes time, he's basically just going to have to sell both of them, I think, as he starts to buy his bigger items. 2, 11, 7, so really has died a few times there, and a lot of Mirana arrow has been landing on the Queen of Pain. Hasted Magnus comes in, wants to pick up this Jakiro, stands there for a moment, ends up skewering back, lands the Ice Path, will probably turn around, land this Jewel Breath. Oh, drops the Macro Pyre, in fact, and does then drop the Jewel Breath. Needs to run home there. You shouldn't really be hanging around with no mana as well, not much use, but Macro Pyre was used. Not that big of a deal. 60 seconds isn't terribly long. Looks like this is going to end up being a big fight here. They managed to get a long-range shackle. RP comes out, lands on 2, both of the disable heroes. The Queen of Pain ulti comes out, lands on the Magnus. The manages to use a refresher. That was a refresher ulti there from the Magnus. Sven comes in, manages to clean up the Magnus. Gonna get the Alchemist as well. I wonder if anyone else will be able to pick off. His BKB is already ended. It is only 7 seconds in duration that time. Massive ulti is gonna pick up the Rubik as well. So this Sven is doing everything he can. The ulti, this is gonna land. This arrow is gonna land, and the Sven is gonna go down. Fantastic play from this Mirana. She's really been landing so many arrows this game. I mean, having said all that though, this Sven was fantastic. It was a bit of a shame he got sprouted right at the end. Probably could have ended up cleaning up the rest of the team if he didn't get sprouted there. Gave the Mirana a bit of time to back off. But wow, that was a great arrow there from the Mirana. Managed to pop the Sven. Sven does end up having to buy back from that, which he really didn't want to do. Should have used Midas on the wave there. It happens. I forget to use my Midas all the time. But wow, this Mirana, I gotta say, this Mirana has really been the MVP of this game so far. From saving this Prophet over here, which I'm pretty sure she did do, because I think that arrow actually hit before the Prophet TP'd out. Maybe I'm wrong, but anyway, saving that Prophet has landed arrow after arrow and just done so much for her team and set up so many ganks. Other arrows I can think of in mid, just throwing them in. Arrow lands, leap in with as well, followed up with an Alchemist stun, and has just done so much for her team. So well done to that Mirana. Like I said, this Sven has been doing everything in his power to get back into this game. Is building towards that Daedalus now. Will probably be cleaning up these Ancients now. Looking to get his final component for the Daedalus, which is the DE, right? Yep, Bariza. I remember that item as Bariza do Canyon, or whatever it is. Canyo. So he'll be getting his Daedalus in just a moment. And that's when we'll really see things heat up. If he's able to land even just one crit on a couple of heroes and cleave them, that's just going to do so much more. So much more for the team. So much more for the team fight, I should say. Getting a little bit bold there, running up the hill. I feel like Undying maybe needs to pick up a Vite booster, because it just feels like she's been a little bit vulnerable and a bit squishy this game. Just odd to say of an Undying, but I guess if you have been a little bit under-leveled and you've been pushed back a bit, I mean, she's only level 9, that's really impacting her ability. Really impacting the Undying's ability to contribute in the team fights, because you'd like to have a high-level Soul Rip and Decay. So she'll be hanging around the Sven for XP at this point. That's fantastic, just what they should be doing. And the Sven's just playing it safe. They may be looking to take a fight again here in mid. All the ultis are up, except for the Windrunner, who has not skilled ulti, which is fine. Don't need to skill it. Macropie does come out. It looks like somehow that Sacred Arrow missed. Does throw up the Sonic Wave, lands on the Rubik as well as the Mirana. Sven comes in with the BKB ulti as well as Alchemist with his own ulti now. RP comes out, lands on 2. Doesn't do damage to the Sven because he had his BKB up. And they no one dead quite yet. Does land another shackle. This Alchemist is going to end up going down. Amazing team fight from the Radiant. They're actually managing to... I have no idea how they're managing to win these team fights. And Magnus ends up going down. They really need detection to pick off this this Nature's Prophet. It does get the Scream of Pain there, but not enough damage. And he has got that invis. Amazing team fight from the Radiant side. It just shows you the power of the Sven. And that was a great shackle there as well that he landed on the Alchemist just at the end. And that all started with a Jakiro Ice Path Macropie, just baiting out those BKBs a little bit earlier than they would have liked, I think. The Alchemist BKB wore off, and he really wasn't able to do anything once it did. Looks like they will be able to get this tower if they push the issue, which I really think they should. And don't let the Magnus try to deny or anything silly like that. That's great. They managed to push out the second mid tower. And I mean, this is the lane that they need to push. They need to push back in. They need to push in and get this Rax down. That way they're that much freer to try to start possibly pushing other lanes if they're able to keep taking fights. So the Magnus pings out on the Roshan. They know it's up. They really want to go for that next. We'll see. Empower on one of those creeps. That one. Cool. That's pretty... That's actually awesome. That is a great way to push out the lane even faster if you want to force them to defend while you're taking the Roshan. That is beautiful. I really love this. Alright guys, Magnus players. Don't forget this. If you want to push out your lane, if you're dire especially, you want to push out the lane because you want to take the Roshan, throw Empower on that creep. My goodness, that did so much, especially as they're a mega creep. So it doesn't look like they're going to be able to contest this in time. Yeah, this is just going down way too fast. So Undying and Sven are probably going to run home after they hear that sound because they'll be scared of getting ganked. So yep, they do slowly move back towards the base. Kira needs to be a little bit careful there. I'd really like to see some... oh, I lie. There's a Radiant Ward right here. What am I talking about? Fantastic warding here from Undying. It's a great ward to have when you're trying to defend your bottom lane. Another great one's up here. It's a bit more predictable up here. People always deward this spot, but it's still great to have a ward here. That's a really good choice. So they're going to be defending this lane. They really need to not defend from the low ground. They really need to be up here, just hanging at the back, defending from up there. Because this, I mean, they've got a blink. Don't forget there's a blink. Come on, guys. Up to the high ground with you. Don't tempt fate like this. Sacred Arrow comes out. Just hisses. Ooh, a Tombstone creep spawned on top of this creep, and the arrow hit the Tombstone creep. Bit lucky for that. Jakiro may have been hit by that otherwise. Macropie comes out, return ice path from the Rubik. Yeah, Mirana ulti comes out as well, so good heal there from the Undying, and they're going to want to sit back. Sit back and pause for a moment. Somebody tells, no guys, I can't hold you spots. If you're in the lobby and there's 10 people, those 10 people are going to play. That's how it works, I'm sorry. Can't hold spots. Arrow does miss. Grab on the Undying. Big RP is going to come out, hits on 3 heroes. Shackle comes out, doesn't latch. Return, does a refresh RP, but the big Sonic Wave comes out as well. The Sven ends up going down. Don't think the Sven actually managed to get his BKB off there, or his ulti. No, he didn't. That's very unfortunate. Don't think they'll lose the racks because of it, but the Sven and the Queen of Pain are forced to buy back. Now the Sven's going to come in, throws out his stun. I imagine he'll be using his BKB. There goes the BKB. We'll see if he's able to clean anyone up in the meantime. Does end up getting stunned by the arrow something. He had BKB. Didn't think that went through BKB. Got stunned by something there. Sorry if I got that wrong. The Alchemist does manage to get away. It looks like this Sven not going to die before he cleans up the Rubik. I was going to say he may end up going down there. He does clean up the Rubik. Don't see this Magnus getting out of here either. You have the Mirana leaping forward, trying to help his Magnus buddy. Magnus is turning around. Sick jukes from Magnus. He will be getting out of here. The Sven can't keep chasing. In fact, the Sven's going to end up getting stunned by the Alchemist. He does end up going down. And I think that is it, because that Sven brought back. Sven died at the start of the fight. Brought back. Did manage to get 1 kill on the Rubik, but then died again. And it's just not worth it. You needed to kill the Alchemist at least as well to make that buyback worthwhile. Unfortunately, the Rubik's just not going to cut it. So he's dead for another 99 seconds. Looks like they will be able to defend this Rax. His tower is so low. It's 4 HP from being in deny range. I think that's right. Has to be 10%. Jakiro is going to get stunned by a reasonable length. Stun from the Alchemist. Does get 4-star forward. 4-stars herself forward. Throws down the Macropie, but the Queen of Pain does end up getting zapped by a Nature's Prophet ulti and goes down to one final right click from the Alchemist. Looks like the Undying is going to fear the wrath of the Alchemist as well. So it's very little that the Radiant can do at this point. They're going to try to get behind this tower. Unfortunately doesn't get it there. It's not enough right click, and this Prophet has a lot of right click with the Daedalus and the Dezo. And the Stygian Desolator. Going to go to town on this melee Rax. Really nothing that the Radiant can do. They need the Sven to do anything. They are going to end up losing their bottom lane of Rax at the 41-minute mark. We had a 30-minute mid lane Rax, 41-minute bottom Rax. Lands a nice path on 2 heroes. Throws out the Jewel Breath, but I just don't think that the Alchemist is going to be going down here before the Jakiro does. As I say that, the Alchemist runs away. Is he going to end up? No, he won't end up dying. Great regen, and obviously he has the Aegis as well. And I need to put my Steam on offline when I do this in the future. It does end up going down. So much damage from the Desolator from that Nature's Prophet. Arrow would have landed as well. This, I mean, the Mirana has, like I said, her ulti and her Sacred Arrow, I want to say, were pretty much half of the reason why the Dio on this game. I mean, I'm completely ignoring the amazing reverse polarity, of which we just saw 2 more. Uses his reverse polarity again. Manages to skewer out. Just going to skewer the Sven away. Does end up dying. Sven's here. He's going to go down to the massive right click of the Alchemist. And the Queen of Pain does end up dying again as well. So that is a wipe for the Radiant side. Unfortunately, they looks like this will be it for them. The Mirana and the Magnus just doing so much, keeping their team up. The Rubik playing exactly as they should. In fact, everyone on the Dire team just doing their roles exactly as they should be. Really great play from them. I mean, we had some fantastic fights from Radiant out here as well, where they almost came back and took the took the game. I really feel like they had an advantage for a little while there with that Spend BKB ulti up with the Mask of Madness. If they'd maybe just tried to take a few more team fights with those abilities up, they may have been able to do a bit more in the mid game. But the Dire does end up winning, 43-minute game at a score of 55-25. And that was the first match for Dota Is Hard of this evening. We'll hopefully have a lot more coming up for you. My name is Juicy, and I hope you've enjoyed this cast, and stick around for the next one.